So here's how I made the Bronco painting, and you can see the painting here, several pictures of it. I started with a toy, a big R, and took several pictures of it. This toy is probably about 6 to 8 inches tall, and I settled on a picture that I wanted to use, put that into PowerPoint, and that was my beginning. So the picture you'll see that I was going to use is actually coming up. These are the different poses, but here's the pose that I was going to use. Then I cut out my own template of that in PowerPoint right there, and I started with this painting. But I didn't like this painting because the trees were too big and the horse was too far back. Here you can see the deer came and watched me paint. This deer was a mother deer. She bedded down for an hour and a half, and then she got up out of the sun and went back in the shade and sat down for another hour. And I have deer throughout very interested in this. So you can see I'm starting the painting now. The deer's in the background. I'm doing the silhouette, and then I add in the aspens into the painting on either side. Here are the aspens coming in. I put some color into it eventually to try to experiment, but first I wanted some close-ups of the aspens. I was experimenting with how to do those. This is in acrylics. I eventually put some in oils. Here you can see the colors. I ended up giving that painting away. Then I rotated the painting. It's a 16 by 20 inch canvas, and you can see my various notes here, trying to put in some mountains in the background. So I started with a sunburst like this, put the mountains in. I didn't like this because the orange was mixing with the blue and making green. Still, I took my template, I put it on there, and I started to figure out what I want to do with this painting. And it hung on my wall for several weeks over different periods of this. And you can see how it compared to the colored painting I did before, which I gave away. So I decided that I was going to put a white horse in here. So I made a white one just on paper, tried to do some of the initial shading. Very interesting how I got the shading to work, because the shading actually came from a number of different horses I found on the internet or later. Here you can see I'm trying to figure out what kind of aspens I want, and then I finally put in the aspens that I wanted, which I really like. I was going to leaf them out, but I think that the yellow will offset all the blue and the orange, and I wanted the blue and the orange. You can see how they go together here. They were the original Broncos colors before they went into the dark blue in the latest jerseys. So there's the painting when I finally got some red into it and got the outer to match. A deer came back, and she was probably 5 feet away. She was so curious at what I used to do with this painting. And now you can see what it looks like today. We're going to go back here to the other painting. You can see how that looked. It was just the silhouette that I started with. And I looked at a whole bunch of logos and jerseys here. I wanted to do something with the jersey and incorporate it. You'll see the stripes coming up on the right, and I actually at one point wanted to make a Denver Broncos jersey that looked like that, and I wanted to actually make a ranch sign that had the Bronco Ranch on it. However, I just couldn't get it to look right. So I also looked at shading. This is a trigger, actually, one of 2 triggers made. He's at the Bronco Stadium. And now you can see some of the shading that I looked at in order to figure out how to make this horse look realistic. And this is even a cloud shape someone took. Here's Stormy, the horse, in the Bronco Stadium, and his rider. And then finally we're going to end up by looking at the painting itself. And now you know the history of it. I hope you enjoyed this.